Hello and welcome back to our renovation project in central Portugal. In this episode, Phil gets back to his happy place where he's building things with wood. We see the Portuguese fire systems in action for the first time. And I continue with my eternal digging tasks, this time on the road gutter. We're Jane and Phil. Last year we bought this 2-acre farm. That's about 800 square metres. It had lain empty and unloved for around 20 years. We've taken on the massive challenge to transform it into a modern home. A few weeks ago, Phil built our very comfy bed, but it was lacking a key part. Without a proper bed head, we had nowhere to prop ourselves up, and the mosquito net had to be raised behind our heads on a couple of improvised posts. It's now time to put that right, and with a very approximate design idea, Phil headed off to the barn.
Here's the timber store, so let's see what we can find that will be suitable for the bed head. So that's the stuff that the surrounds was made of. Got some tongue and groove here. I'm inclined to use that. That's a 120mm. So I can get a couple of slats of that with a gap in the middle. Should do for the horizontals. Yeah, 260 long. Plenty there for the width that I need. I think if I use some of these as the upstands. Get a couple out of that, and there's another one over there. Should be good. Two of those. Quite long enough. Slightly different thickness, but it'll be behind the bed, so don't worry about that. So I'll put a quarter round edge around the top of these things. So I'll go use the router bit. Yeah, that'll do. Sweet. That'll sound down nicely now. Oh. So it's very warm outside, so I've decamped into the Adega, and strangely, as I've just done that, the fire alarm is going off, which means there's a fire alert somewhere near us, somewhere close to us. Normally that only goes off for a test 1 o'clock on a Sunday. It's not been very long, it's only for a few seconds, but that's the first time I've heard it outside of a Sunday test. But we are in very high alert now, and so a lot to be mindful of. Yeah, we'll monitor that on the apps and see how it plays out. But anyway, back to what we're doing. I've got a bench set up here, and this is where the Adega with all the holes in the roof actually comes into its own, because we're getting a bit of an airflow through. It's rather lovely. So that's good, and I can set up with Workmate, and I can have, there you go, didn't think that through, did I? Got the wrong way around, but you see the impression anyway. Back in here, glasses on, sound on.
And this is when things started to develop down the road, so we got a bit distracted.
So after hearing the fire alarm in the Adega just now, that looks like smoke. And seeing as I can see it over the trees, that would place it within 1 kilometre or 2 of us. So, gonna keep an eye out, check the apps and see what the reports are.
There's only one down near Samedi, it's not that near here.
So the apps haven't found it yet, but we'll keep tracking. Okay. So going on to the app, this is basically the current fire situation in Portugal. Apologies for the shaky video, but I'm filming an iPad from an iPhone. But if I go into our district, you can see that's where we are. City of Coimbra is over there. That is a current alert, which is probably about 7 or 8 kilometres away from us. So that is Samedi. First alert dispatch, so that would be consistent with having heard the alarm just now. But it must be a serious one, if they're sending 117 firefighters, 26 vehicles, and 7 aerial resources. That's a lot of response. So we'll keep an eye on that, but it's in the right direction. It's sort of southwest of where we are, but it just shows you how advanced and how immediate the reactions are. If I just head out into the sun again and step into a shady bit so that we can see where we are. That is now a bit more substantial than it was earlier. But if it is that one, thankfully it's about 8 kilometers away. And another blessing is the wind is blowing from behind me. So fingers crossed, and we'll keep an eye on that one.
This is a special firefighting plane with water tanks underneath its wings. We had planes shuttling to and fro all afternoon, filling up from the reservoir north of here and then emptying the water over the fire.
One of the perils of an outdoors kitchen in fire season. That's my breakfast bowl. This morning is just overcast with an ash cloud. It's a very strange sunrise. Just as I'm preparing for breakfast then, that's this morning's fire map. That's the northern half of Portugal. And we are down in the bottom here. That one there is about 8 kilometers away. And quite a big one, about 300 firefighters last reported on it. There's another one there, that's about 40 kilometers away. There's something there under observation, but you can then see the rest of the north of Portugal. It's just all over the place. It's a very busy season this year. And there's more evidence of the ash fall overnight. This is the breakfast table. It's all over the place. Very odd start to the day.
Well, it's still pretty shady out here at the front. I'm continuing with my massive ongoing task of trying to clear out all the soil and leaves that have gathered in the trench. I've dug out the leaves already and need to start burrowing them over onto the land somewhere.
Keep hearing
Feels quite firm under here.
You keep hearing sounds like concrete, don't you?
Yeah, it does.
Or whether it's just a rock.
tiles that are here, it does feel like it might be concrete. I'm hoping that is concrete. Yeah, that definitely is concrete.
But it's angled the wrong way. It's angled back towards the house. Everywhere else it's angled away from the house.
Well, I don't know if it kind of curls up a bit.
No, you see.
Ah.
Yeah, if it's a gutter. And where are we here? We're behind the joint between the adega and the sort of the closed off room.
Definitely solid.
So that's the adega there, and that's the closed off room with the compost toilet behind.
It's well solid.
Does. I like it, but I'm concerned it's going the wrong way.
We were just having a nice cup of tea, and then there was another call out. This time it looked a lot closer to home, certainly less than a kilometre away. There was a single helicopter with a bucket arrangement hanging down, and a couple of fire trucks whizzed by. The helicopter was circling round the neighbourhood, taking water from swimming pools, including one from a friend of ours. Again, it's an example of just how efficient the system is here. The whole incident was over in about 45 minutes. Very impressive. She's going to walk about.
Before I can get too deeply involved in the building of the bedhead, though, I've got a little bit of a problem with the workmate. Black & Decker. It's one of the low-end ones, but that is a threaded plastic sleeve that goes onto the main bolt that you use to tighten it all up, and it seems to have stripped, which means that this side doesn't tighten up. Other side working fine, but this side doesn't tighten up. So I'm going to try and put true Portuguese approach in and see if I can undo it and find a nut. I'm assuming that this is a standard metric thread on that bar. If I can get a nut from the hardware store, possibly cut a slot into that plastic sleeve and then put the nut inside it, it might well do the job and repair it rather than having to chuck it away and replace it.
And just a quick postscript to the events of earlier in the week. We took a drive into Coimbra for some shopping and passed by one of the areas where the fire had been, really close to the city. The fire damage is over quite a large area, right down to the roadside. This road, like many others around the country, was closed for a few days while everything was focused on controlling the blaze and trying to limit its spread. It's scary stuff, yet the authorities and the community around here seem to take it in their stride. It's just one of those things of living in Portugal, they say.
So after all the excitement of last week with the fires going on around us, it's amazing how quickly the season has changed. In a couple of days, we've lost 6-7 degrees of temperature. We're really into autumn now, and you can feel it. The air is cooler and damper in the mornings. We still get some sun in the afternoons. It's still lovely, but it's a different season. It's changed really, really quickly.
One thing we have realised is that it's now almost to the day, exactly 1 year since we first saw the property. And wow, there's been plenty of change, certainly. We didn't think we'd be at this point now, but you know, you never know with these things.
No, it's a lot's gone on, and you know, we've been able to share some of that with you through this channel. What we thought we'd do is open up for some question and answers. We've had a lot of questions come through on the comments, and clearly we've been answering those individually, one-to-ones, but we'll take some of those and we'll do a piece in a couple of weeks' time perhaps, where we answer some of your questions. If you've got any other questions that haven't already been asked, or anything that's particularly interesting or bothering you about us and about what we're doing and why we're doing it and how we're going about it, where we're going, anything really, just drop us a question in and we'll try and answer it.
And we'll pile them all together and sort them all out, and there we go. Yeah.
But other than that, thanks for joining us this week. It's been a bit of a strange one, but thanks again, and we'll see you again soon.
And thoughts are definitely with all those who are still suffering from the fires up in the north. Thankfully, the rain is hopefully going to dampen those down, but still quite stressful, I'm sure, for anybody up there.
Yeah. Thanks. Cheerio.